Hello and welcome to Betfred Football Show. The Premier League and the rest of football will this weekend pay its respects to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Paul Robinson is here. Paul, let's just start with Europe last night. That was a professional job by Manchester United winning 2-0 and West Ham a good away win in Denmark in the Europa Conference.
Yeah, a good win for both sides. And it's nice to have the football back again, as you say, paying its respects in the right way. And I think the two games last night, the two results, but you can see that both teams are taking that competition seriously and see it as an opportunity for some silverware.
I suppose Manchester United's team selection changed with the news that obviously the game against Leeds on Sunday, and understandably because of the pressure the police are under, is being called off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing fixture to be called off because it's one that we all look for from a Leeds and Manchester United point of view at the beginning of the season. It's a huge fixture, but I think you rightfully say, I think it affected, not affected, but it made the manager change his team. He may have played a change side, let's say, but I think he was allowed the pick of his full squad, which we saw last night.
And for Manchester United, their next game is now the 2nd of October away at Man City. So people were talking about this momentum with the wins against Liverpool and the wins against Arsenal, but that's a hell of a gap for Manchester United now, isn't it?
It's a huge gap, and we're going to have a huge fixture pile at Mark. You know, we talk quite often about the managers rotating the squad because they've got so many games. Understandably and rightfully so, games have been called off. But you look now with the World Cup coming up in November, games are going to be crushed in. We're going to be playing a Tuesday-Thursday situation at some point, and teams now have a huge gap. You're right, momentum will drop. And, you know, without European football, some teams, obviously, you know, they're not going to play football for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, let's talk about tonight's two fixtures. Aston Villa at home to Southampton. We're 6 games in. Obviously, Villa got that good draw against Man City. Just a 1 win against Everton at home. I know it's very early on, but you just get the feeling, don't you, for Steven Gerrard, a home game, Southampton, this is must win.
This is a massive game for him, and the pressure's starting to mount on him as well. I mean, you know, the record this season hasn't been great, and it's the first time that he's actually coming under pressure as a manager. And you look at these two teams, I was looking at the game earlier. Villa 11 games with no clean sheets. Southampton 12 games with no clean sheets. The longest ongoing runs in the top flight. So there's definitely going to be goals in this one.
Come on in, give us a prediction.
Well, I mean, Southampton are so unpredictable. I mean, you know, you look at their loss to Wolves last week, and then Villa have the better performance against Manchester City, but they haven't played since that game. Like I said to you, there's definitely going to be goals in this one. I'm going to go for a very nervy 2-1 Villa win.
So Villa to win 2-1, that is Paul's prediction. Right, Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. Just a 1 win for Forest to beat West Ham at home. They lost to Bournemouth at home in their last game. And I think Fulham are going very, very nicely in 10th.
Yeah, Fulham are ticking along well. And this game in the Championship last year, this exact fixture, Fulham won it 4-0 with 2 goals from Mitrovic. I think Forest will struggle to keep him quiet again tonight. I think it wasn't the loss against Bournemouth. I think it was the way that Forest lost, the performance. It's going to be interesting to see how they react to that loss and the way that that game ended up. I think Fulham, as you say, ticking on really nicely. But they've got no wins in 7 away games. But they're averaging 1.5 goals a game this year. So it's a good bet is to back Fulham to score.
And if you've got Mitrovic, I mean, he didn't have the greatest time in the Premier League last time, but he seems to have really adapted to the Premier League on this occasion.
He has this year. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of questions about him coming into this year, but he's got 6 in 6, and I back him to score again tonight. I think Forest at the back look like they're susceptible. I think Fulham can go forward, can score goals. I'm going to go for 2-1 Fulham to win and Mitrovic to get on the score sheet.
There we are. So 2-1 for Fulham, the away win for Paul Robinson. Right, 12:30, Wolves versus Man City. Man City drawn 2 this season in the Premier League, Newcastle and Aston Villa. But we saw midweek, I'm sorry, people talk about the transfer window. The best signing was at the beginning of the transfer window, and that was Haaland. What a signing he looks for Man City.
Oh, he's just a goal-scoring monster, isn't he? He's absolutely incredible. He's everything that we thought he would be and more. You know, we spoke last year about Lukaku coming into Chelsea, and we were kind of expecting him to have the impact that Haaland's had. But Haaland's the real deal. He's done it. He's hit the ground running. You know, when he doesn't score, you look at the defenders that he occupies. You know, Bournemouth tried to take him out of the game, and he had very few touches. But then you forget about the other 9 outfield players that City have got and the damage they can cause. He really is looking the real deal. I mean, City haven't played. They've played 2 Champions League games since their last Premier League game. They won 4-0 away at Seville, and then they beat Dortmund midweek. They look pretty unstoppable, this City team this year.
Do you think they're going to win the league by quite a margin if they carry on like this?
Well, listen, you look at the way Liverpool have started. Performances for Liverpool got better in midweek against Ajax. They got a good result, but there's that bigger points gap already. We didn't expect to see that. I mean, the league was won by 1 point last year. Anybody who finishes above City this year will win the league, but nobody will finish above City.
Wolves aren't bad at home, though, are they? So, let's be honest, it's not just a case of City rocking up, is it, in the Premier League?
No, Wolves are good at home. They've got 3 clean sheets this year. He's kind of changed to a 4-3-3 system. Players more rigid. They're difficult to beat, difficult to break down. And it won't be an easy game for City, but I can't see it being a problem.
Give us a prediction then.
I'm going to go City to win. I think Wolves will score. And I think City have got the firepower. City will score. They'll win well. I'm going to go 4-1 City.
4-1 Man City. Plenty of goals for Monsieur from Man City. Right, 3 o'clock. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Newcastle very unlucky at Liverpool, weren't they, at the end of August. Probably need to turn some of these draws into wins, don't they, Newcastle?
Well, that's it. I'm looking at my notes for the game. 4 draws this year, but there was an impressive performance against Manchester City. Nick Pope's been outstanding in goal this year for them. And I think the signs are there, the positive signs are there, performances are there, but like you quite rightfully say, draws need to be turned into wins.
So come on, give us a prediction for Newcastle Bournemouth.
Well, Bournemouth had that great win last time out of Forest, didn't they? It's interesting to see Bournemouth because after that 9-0 defeat against Liverpool, they've drawn and then they came back to win against Forest in a really good manner. So you don't really know what you're going to get. I think with Alexander Isak playing up front for Newcastle, I really like him. I think he's a top player. It's not going to be long before he's amongst a lot of goals. So I've gone for Isak to score and a home win.
What score?
Oh, put me on the spot for a score. Let's go 3-1. 3-1 Newcastle.
3-1 Newcastle. Right, 5:30 Euro Club. Spurs versus Leicester. Spurs are 3rd in the league at the moment. Obviously, disappointing midweek defeat in Europe. Where are Spurs at, do you think, this term, Paul?
Oh, listen, there's huge progress been made, and you can see where they're at. They're going to be up there, and they're going to be challenging for trophies, and hopefully that's going to be the tale to come for a long time. I think it's been a bit of a knee-jerk reaction after the defeat to Sporting because the season has been going so well. It's quite easy to jump on a bandwagon and say, "Oh, poor performance. It was a game that they should have won," etc. But I think the manager will be really happy. Conte will be really happy where they are this year. You look at the transfer windows that they had, the players that have come in, and I don't think that one bump in the road is going to cause them a problem. I think they're going to be very, very strong this year.
Come on then, prediction for Tottenham Leicester.
Well, Leicester are struggling. I mean, look at the way that Leicester played last time out against Brighton. Again, it was the manner of the defeat. They just look a team that's drained of confidence. Brendan Rodgers looks like a manager he's just kind of, he's almost just, after match interviews, he doesn't seem like himself. I mean, you look at the team, the Tielemans, Iheanacho, Barnes, they're just playing without any confidence, without any identity. They're really poor, Leicester. So this one for me, it's a comfortable Spurs win to 0.
Brentford Arsenal is now midday on Sunday. It's been brought forward and it's live on the TV. Obviously, Arsenal, 100% record until going to Old Trafford, still top of the table. This is a big game because we all know Brentford are a decent outfit.
Well, they are. Look at the last time they played against Leeds, and Ivan Toney's among the goals. They put 5 past a decent Leeds team. So to go there is going to be very difficult. I think for a team that's come up into the Premier League, they're the perfect model. You look at the model, you look at the way the clubs run, you look at the way that the manager sets his team up. They are the ideal model of how to stay in the Premier League. And it's going to be a tough game for Arsenal. We know that they went there beginning of last season and they lost. And as I said, Brentford they're more than capable of scoring goals. But it's a different Arsenal team to what's there last year. You look at Jesus, and yes, they lost last time out at Old Trafford. If there's a good way to lose, it was a good performance. They dominated that game until they made those 4 changes and really went for Manchester United, in my opinion, too early. It was a good performance. And they've had the win against Zurich in midweek as well. Let's put them back on track.
Come on out, give us a prediction.
It's going to be a draw, definite draw. 2 very, very good teams in form. It's either a stalemate or a 1-1.
And where do you think Arsenal are at the moment?
I think
Title
they're ahead of
contenders or genuine top four contenders?
genuine top four contenders. I think they're ahead of where a lot of people, including myself, thought they would be at the beginning of the season. And I think you've got to give the manager credit. The greatest gift you can give any manager is time. And Arsenal have afforded him time. They've allowed him to make big decisions. They've backed him in the transfer market. I think their acquisitions in the window were excellent. And I think they're a lot further ahead of where people expected them to be.
And at 2:15 on Sunday, Everton versus West Ham. Obviously, a lot of talk about Frank Lampard, but for me, he's definitely showed up that defence. 4 draws this season now for Everton.
Yeah, I mean, three draws in the last 3 games, like you say, Brentford, Leeds and Liverpool. And the performance against Liverpool was very, very encouraging. For them, scoring goals has been a problem. You know, you look for Mope's come in now. I think he's a very, very good, solid Premier League player. And I think if he gets the service, he'll score goals. We know what Anthony Gordon can do. And I think the shoots of recovery are there. The signs are there for Everton. I think obviously they've got Jordan Pickford missing, but it's not going to be a problem because Begovic will come in this weekend, who's a top-class goalkeeper. And again, but West Ham this season, they've started slowly. You know, they've had a good win in Europe and they lost away. But I think with Antonio, with Paqueta, they've got a real strike force. So I think Everton will struggle to keep them out.
Prediction?
Both teams will score in this game. So I think they've both got a lot going forward. But I think it'll be a very, very nervy 2-1 home win to Everton.
2-1 home win to Everton. Paul, thanks very much for joining us. Obviously, it's been a very, very sad week, and football will pay its respect this weekend to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So thanks so much for joining us, Paul. And please, if you're having a bet this weekend, please just keep it fun and gamble responsibly. See you soon.